are you doing 4 A levels? No, genuinely, stop and think for a second. I'll wait. Why are you doing 4 A levels? Alright, now that you've had a think about it, let me tell you why you should drop your 4th A level if you're on the fence about it. And stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll go through why you might want to consider keeping the 4th and why I kind of actually ended up doing 4 A levels. Firstly, no university requires 4 A levels. Whether you're looking at Oxford, Cambridge, whatever, no university requires 4. It's just not something that will really make you stand out. You might see a lot of students from top unis end up having 4 A levels under their names, but I can guarantee you with 100% certainty that the reason they got into these top unis had nothing to do with their 4 A levels and was likely due to other factors. Even if you do go ahead with 4 A levels, your universities will only really look at your top 3 anyway. That's why all universities, when giving out conditional offers, will only ask for 3 grades and never 4. And if having 4 A levels really did increase your chance of getting an offer from a university, then they'd have to make it clear. They'd have to tell you that if you do 4 A levels, you'll have more chance of getting in, which they don't, because it just doesn't matter. Reason number 2 is because it's a big sacrifice. If you've been doing 4 A levels currently, you will know that there's definitely a lot more work to be done. You might notice some of your friends who are doing 3 A levels might be a bit more laid back, might be chill. It's not that they won't be working, but you'll feel like you have a lot more work than they do. And that's just the reality of doing an extra A level. You'll have to put more hours in. And especially if you're going into year 13, let me warn you now, the workload will take a jump. And so 4 A levels, if they're a bit manageable now, might feel a lot harder later on in the year. Around exam season, you'll also have to be a lot more disciplined with your time allocation and how much revision you're doing. So you really need to sit there and ask yourself whether or not this is sustainable in the long run and whether or not you can really carry on this workload all the way till the end of year 13. And that brings me on to my 3rd reason, which is the fact that it can negatively affect your other A levels. I always say this, 3 solid A levels are so much better than 4 very average ones. And without the right time management skills, it can be very easy to lose track of how much time you're spending in each subject. And you might find that come exam season or come mock exams that your grades just aren't where you want them to be. They're kind of just below where you want, or they're quite average and not really what you need to get into university. Please don't sacrifice your chances of getting 3 very solid grades that will be more than enough to meet your university's grade requirements, and instead falling into the trap of thinking if I get 4 kind of decent A level grades, it will somehow look better. Now, if after all of this you're thinking about dropping the 4th A level, I should say you should try and make the decision as soon as possible. The later you make it, the more time you're potentially wasting on an A level that isn't going to get you anything, and that time could otherwise be either spent on your other A levels or even just making sure you get some more off time to relax and really relieve some stress. Now, I did 4 A levels and I can imagine you behind your screen thinking like, what on earth are you talking about? Why did you do 4 A levels and now you're telling us not to? Well, there are some reasons why you might want to do 4 A levels. Firstly, it could just be that you really enjoy the subject. So I did biology, chemistry, maths and psychology. And for me, psychology was my 4th. It was the one subject that I was doing not because I needed it, but because I just really enjoyed it and I wanted to fuel that curiosity. I felt like it wasn't really burdening me too much. There were times where definitely I considered dropping it, but I just really enjoyed the subject. Another reason you might do 4 is if you're on the fence about what degree you want to sit. I know a lot of people who did biology, chemistry, maths and physics because they were on the fence about either doing medicine or engineering. That's totally fine, because in that instance you want to keep your doors as open as possible, especially if you want to make the decision maybe after a gap year. A 3rd reason someone might find some benefits in doing 4 is, although universities don't care that you're doing 4 A levels, it can teach you a lot of valuable skills. So I know there were certain points where my time management skills had to be perfect. My discipline had to be perfect. There were these skills that I picked up from doing 4 that, yes, I could have picked up through other means, but that the 4 A levels did teach me. I felt like I definitely became a lot better at managing my stress, about knowing my boundaries, and about knowing how hard I needed to work to achieve certain grades. I feel like that did reflect onto my university application, where as a result I was able to balance more extracurricular and more things outside of my A levels. It's like I said before, there might be a lot of students in top unis who do have 4 A levels, but I guarantee you it's got got nothing to do with the 4 A levels. They're likely very good at time management, they're likely very organized, they're likely very disciplined. They likely have all these skills that are needed to balance 4 A levels that universities like. Now, if you want some advice on how to do well in your A levels from someone who got 4 A stars, here's a video you should check out where I go through some generic advice on how to do well in your A level exam. Hopefully if you watch this, then you can smash all your exams and get the grades you need, and it won't matter what A levels you're doing, every university will want you.